Another month, another movie. The Suicide Squad just released last week on theaters and HBO Max at the same time, so take your pick. I decided to go to the theaters. Luckily, there weren't that many there, but unfortunately, because of that, this movie kind of suffered an underwhelming box office performance. Man, this movie's a miracle. Like, what, 5 years? It's been 5 years since the first Suicide Squad movie came out, and it felt like yesterday. And I'm not the one of the people who hates it. I mean, at first, when I saw it in the theater, I liked it, but then my appreciation started going down, and I thought it ended up okay. I don't hate it, but it's edited poorly. But now, 5 years later, after years and years of waiting, we get a standalone sequel, The Suicide Squad, even though I feel it should have done a different title. But here it is. And it's an improvement. A massive improvement. James Gunn. The Suicide Squad. Name a more perfect duo. Wow. I mean, he really knocks it out of the park. Like, it's so his style that I'm not surprised he's come back to make this Peacemaker TV show. And I hope he keeps making more, just not just DC stuff, but just stuff in general. I know he's coming back for Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and the holiday special, but I just hope he does everything he wants to do in the way he needs to. Because this is proof that he needs to be left alone and do what he wants. Because wow, this was a lot of fun. Uh, the cast members are all great. Some I wish could have survived more than others, but they all do a great job. They make characters that people have mostly never heard of into the mainstream now, hopefully, even though it's not getting the money it should get. I hope people now pay attention to these characters more, so we get more stories out of them. As you heard from promotional material, this follows kind of a rehash, but a better version of the first movie where a bunch of superpowered criminals get sent to an unfamiliar location to do a certain mission for Amanda Waller, and if you don't comply, their heads get blown off. But this one adds more stakes, more character, a better flowing story, better action, and it just looks better. It does just about everything better than the first. No hatred towards the first, as I don't think it's that bad, but this is a massive improvement. Man, there's just so much story with how much freedom Gunn got that I can't even comprehend. Even to this day, I can't even comprehend what I just saw. I might have to rewatch it sometime to fully let the elements flow. So, I what an ensemble. Also, this might talk about the summer of John Cena, because he was just in Fast and Furious 9 a few weeks ago, and now he's in this. He did good in both. They're both successful in a way, or different ways, but yeah, like, wow. Look at that. Also, Idris Elba is better here than in the MCU as Heimdall. David Dastmalchian is surprisingly great as this joke character, Polka Dot Man. Sylvester Stallone does his all, voicing this talking shark in King Shark. Daniela Melchior does the best she could ever do as Ratcatcher 2. I wish they kind of brought back more characters. I know Will Smith couldn't come back because of the scheduling, but I kind of wish that some characters from the first would interact with this cast, because like I feel they get it all well. Like all these people have nice chemistry. The people from the first movie had chemistry, so it'd probably be double the chemistry here. And can't. There's not much else to say. Like, this movie is wild. Like, the stuff you like. I know we're used to like crazy comic book stuff now, like Guardians of the Galaxy and Doom Patrol and everything else, but it still baffles me that studios are still allowing ideas that would be shunned upon years ago. But now we're now accepting them as they're normal now, because now weird for years now has become the norm. See, that's why geek properties have become more mainstream now, because now we're accepting weird shit. Wow, I still have to comprehend. Like, I don't know if you've seen the trailers, you know that Starro the Conqueror and his army of starfish are the big bad at the end. And it's so crazy to see a giant starfish in 2021 with modern effects. It's just a sight to behold. And then playing it almost completely straight. We're like, yeah, this is a comic book world. This movie felt like a live action comic book, even as the titles, to segue the scenes together. So creative. Also, I just love movies where you take a group of characters to a place that both they and the audience are unfamiliar with, so that we're all going on this journey together and facing the impossible together. As a Spanish speaker myself, it was oddly relatable to see tons of Spanish speaking actors doing their thing, and then there's talking shark and a giant starfish, and like, right, this is a DC comic movie. Because since it's days late, you guys probably know the gist of what the story is. So what I can say for this side is it's great. It's really great. Never expected to have like a unique comic book movie this soon, actually. Anyway, that's for my non-spoiler segment. I'll give a few seconds to get to my spoiler segment. Okay, now for like with the opening. Half of the squad just straight up dies, and I wish they could have all. I know there's the whole thing about be careful. What's the line that the gun said? Don't get too attached. Right. I kind of wish they all made it to the end, or at least most of them, because they kind of seem charismatic, and I kind of like these people. I like Pete Davidson. I like Flula Borg, Jai Courtney, Michael Rooker, Nathan Fillion. I like these guys, and I kind of wish there was been this grand adventure. I know it'd be too many characters for this standalone movie, but man, at least maybe just kill one or two in the beginning, and then slowly kill more one by one later on, because like was it more than 5 characters die in the opening, and then the rest don't start dying until like the third act. So it's like it's a massive gap of people surviving the impossible. And I Captain Boomerang was one of my favorites from the first movie, so it's kind of a shame to see him bite the dust, especially since he was one of Jai Courtney's best characters to date. Man, that guy needs to be like flex his acting muscles more. Surprising. I also didn't expect Rick Flag to make it, because I would be like, thought he'd be like alongside Harley Quinn and Bloodsport, some of the characters like make it safely because they're a main player. But wow. Also, never mentioned Harley Quinn. I know like everyone loves her. She's still great. Surprising that almost 3 slightly different versions of the characters across these 3 movies, different directors, and she remains. I think she might, depending on who you ask, but for me definitely might be one of, if not the most consistent DCEU character. Which is crazy. I know she's popular, but I didn't expect her to be the one. Also, yeah, even like the characters that only share a few scenes are great, like the Thinker, the the South American generals and soldiers, the president, even like Waller's assistants in like the computer room. Fine, the computer room. They're all memorable. Glad to see some of them coming back for the Peacemaker show. Almost just about everyone is a great job. Like that does a great job. Like there's no weak link in the cast. Unlike like Black Widow, which you could say a couple should have been better. Everyone plays their part well, and those who have more screen time played really well. Wow. Even though I really like this movie, I do have some slight nitpicks, and I guess they're mostly my nitpick. But the first one, which I already mentioned before, I wish some characters made it later on. I felt some scenes dragged on a bit long, like the scene with Harley and the Corto Maltesian president, where they were having their hilarious date. I thought that side plot was hilarious, but I thought it went up for a bit too long. For a moment, like, okay, when are we going back to the other squad members? I cut those moments just like a couple minutes because I felt like they went on for a bit too long. Also, for as much as I love the third act, I also felt that went on for a bit too long. And I felt I would have cut it down by a few minutes because I was like, oh, we're still going? Oh, okay, we're still going. We're still going. Which makes it surprising that once the final battle ends, there's very little time between that and the actual ending of the movie. I think there's like 5 minutes in between. Crazy. At least it's unique. It's a unique approach. Wow. What else? The action scenes are great. I swore I had other things to say. Oh yeah. I wish Polka Dot Man didn't die. I know it's part of like the trademark dark humor and stuff, but I was really rooting for him. Like he was like one of my favorite side characters of the movie. Didn't expect him to be a major side character in a live action film, especially nowadays. But his actor did such a good job. I wished he was one of the survivors. But no, they had to kind of kill him off for like a dark joke. Oh well. Also, what's crazy is that the people behind this movie make a whole deal about no one is safe, anyone can die. But then we had that scene where like Bloodsport, Peacemaker, and Rick Flag survive a freaking truck crash as if this were Fast and the Furious. And other moments, just like when Bloodsport is falling down that building and surviving the falls with his knees, it was legs. And I was like, that's hilarious, but it kind of takes away the whole anyone can die at any moment thing, because when this whole don't get too attached things was going and they announced that massive cast last year, I was like, oh, great, people are gonna die in unexpected moments, slowly, not maybe, because I didn't expect most of them to die in the same scene. But then when the trailers and the marketing start showing up, they made it really obvious who's gonna die, which kind of ruined some of the stakes a bit. I know some felt it, but for me it took them a bit because it kind of made it predictable on who would bite the dust. And I already knew who would stick around more and who would end up surviving just by who the trailers would focus on. I know you need main characters, but it kind of took away the intrigue and the excitement of anyone can die. But oh well. But yeah, you have characters surviving crazy stuff despite them trying to make it as quote-unquote grounded as they can. So it kind of contradicted the whole anyone can die except if you have plot armor or one of the main characters. But oh well. It's still a comic book movie, so stuff like this is going to happen, but I kind of wish it was a bit more consistent. I kind of wish they never did this don't get too attached tagline to begin with, so it would have been even more surprising for when the characters do die. But I guess it's a unique experience, especially for a comic book movie. I'm not one to like compare or trash movies of lesser quality because it's just stupid. Enjoy what you like. Don't need to like bring others higher than others lower. Just enjoy them for what they are. Cause I like this a bit. I like this quite a bit more than Black Widow because its quality is like consistent. But I'll still enjoy that movie over dozens of other average comic book movies as both of these, because for all the stuff that people have been saying about comic book movie fatigue, there's been more hits than there are misses. There's more superhero shows and movies that people at least like than those that people think are okay or just shitty. So yeah, for all these complaints and people only wanting to pay attention to the stuff that's really top tier, like probably this, Into the Spider-Verse, Logan, The Winter Soldier, Civil War, and all this whatnot, there's still, even when you just watch the top tier stuff, there's still a bunch of solid, entertaining movies, like most of what the MCU has to offer. So I'll still watch what comes up next, because I prefer something that's at least good quality over something that has almost no quality. Because come on, if something's good, it's good. Even if it's not perfect, at least it's competent. It's something at least memorable. So that's why I won't agree with this comic book fatigue unless we have like 5 or 10 terrible superhero movies in a row. Then I'll agree to the comic book fatigue thing. But for the moment, it's still going strong. More than 15 years later, and it's still going strong. People are still watching them. So no, it will not go away unless people are purposely trying to make superhero movies terrible. Anyway, I hope to see and hear what you guys have to think of the movie, because hopefully we'll get way more movies just like this.